Hello everyone, it's Rhonda here from Nelson's Soapery. Today I thought I would bring you a video as I'm making some organic sugar lip scrubs. So in a watermelon flavour. I mean, everybody loves watermelon. No matter what I do in watermelon, it's a very successful flavour or scent. So anyway, I thought that we would start this rolling and get everything happening. But before we can do the exciting bit, which of course is making the product, we do need to sanitize the environment. So underneath this table, I have totally sanitized it. We actually do use a sanitary grade that is 100% alcohol, and that is like a hospital level, or you know, when you get your ears pierced and things like that, it's the level that they would use. And that way I know that my customers are going to be 100% safe, and I don't need to worry too much. But so what I'm doing at the start is so I've got my paper towel down, like I said, after I've sanitized it. Every single product you can see here, even the bottles, spoons, anything is totally sanitized before I even pop these down. So I'm popping my little amber jars down, and these are going to be 50 grams of the sugars in them. And so they're just going to be sprayed. So in this bottle is my mix, like I said. And literally I'm just spraying them all, and then I'm going to leave them for maybe 10 to 20 seconds, and then I'll come and wipe them out. You can wipe them out with a paper towel, which I've done, or a microfiber cloth. If you're using a paper towel, you just do need to remember that sometimes tiny little fibers can actually go into them. So at the start I've wiped them down, but then I do come back later on and wipe them again with a microfiber cloth. And when you wipe them down, you'll hear like a squeaky kind of sound on the inside, and then that's when you know that you've got all of any dust particles or anything. Sometimes it looks like there's nothing dirty in them, but there is, because they do have germs. You've got to remember that they're coming from a factory and they're in a cardboard box. They've been handled by many people before they get to you. So do clean them, because if you don't, they can actually grow little bits of bacteria or mold or anything into them. And of course, I know you would hate to give your customers that, as I would. I'd be absolutely devastated if that happened to my customers. So anyway, like I said, we'll get cleaning them all now. And first of all, I just clean the jars. Once they're done, then I'll come back and do the lids and everything. But for now, it's just the jars that I need to concentrate on. Alright, so we've done all the jars, so let's get making something fun. So basically the idea of this is you're going to literally just mix it all into one jug. The one thing that I have noticed with a lot of sugar scrubs is it's basically their sugar, and then they just add, you know, like an oil. I personally don't really like to do that, because I want my customers to have their lips feeling soft after the sugar has gone off the lips. So that's why I do put a few extra ingredients in mine. So you can see that I'm using an organic sugar. You can get this organic sugar just at your local supermarket. So the main thing is you're going to put 3 parts sugar to 1 part of oils, or you know, your base oils. And I actually mix my base oils with also adding a bit more extra cocoa butter and some shea butter as well, and they are certified and ethically sourced products as well. So you'll see in this one here, I start off doing a small batch just to give you an idea, and I will pop down the recipe in the bottom, so please do look for that. So you can see this is also my organic jojoba oil, and I get it from a company called N Essentials. N Essentials do a lot of cosmetic grade materials, you know, raw materials, from your shea butters to you know, olive oils, avocado, so many different ones. So check them out. They're in Australia, so I think it's nessentials.com.au, but I also will pop the link down below. So here I'm actually showing you, this is our unrefined shea butter. Most people think shea butter is actually white, but it's not. That usually has gone through a bleaching or some sort of process, and that's the cocoa butter that I'm showing you to there. So they are like a yellowy tan typed color, because it is a natural ingredient. So I'm popping a small amount into this little container, and all it is 1 tablespoon of shea butter to half a tablespoon of cocoa butter, and then that's going to be added into our wet oils that I've already popped in there, which of course, like I said, is the jojoba oil. And then I melt them all down. You can melt them in a microwave or a double boiler, whichever you prefer. And in this jug that you can see here, I've added my sugar and the wet ingredients, which is the jojoba oil. And then I'm going to be adding the smallest, tiniest bit of the, as you can see, the spoon, I've just showed you that, of the mica. So this is a cosmetic grade mica. So do make sure that it is lip safe and that you can use it. And this one is lip safe. It can be used. So that is really, really important. Please don't just put any mica in. It does need to be that cosmetic grade mica. And those ones there are from Sud Off in Australia. So, and they're a great company. So you can check them out as well. If you need micas, they're really, really good. And last but definitely not least is the watermelon scent. So this is a watermelon flavour that has been designed for lip balms or lip scrubs. And I've got this one from Heirloom Australia. So once again, like I said, I promise I will put all the links down below. And of course, I will share my recipe with you. So I have no problem sharing my recipe. So the first batch that I did really didn't make many. It only made 4. So when I put the recipe, I'll put the recipe down for 8 because, you know, most people aren't going to make 4. You'll want to make more than that. But like I said, it's not hard to like redesign this recipe for yourself. But this is, like I said, this is my own recipe, and I've worked quite a bit with sugar scrubs and tried to change them, but this is personally what works for me. And I've tried it on myself. My daughters have tried it, and it does feel absolutely beautiful and will leave your lips feeling nice and smooth after everything as well. So, and also the one tip that I can give you is make sure your oil is not too hot when you put the sugar, because you don't want the sugar to dissolve. You know, you would hate to dissolve if you're, you know, like if you melt down your shea butters and cocoa butters and they're too hot. So just let them cool at distancy. But then, of course, the shea butter and cocoa butter will actually go a little harder in time once it sets a little bit, which will make it feel beautiful on your lips. So you can see here, it's kind of, it does look like a bit of a Slurpee and sugary and like that kind of frozen Coke that you get. That's sort of the consistency that you should be seeing. And then from there, all I do is literally organize all my jars together, and then I'm just going to be popping it straight into the jar. So I'll try and give you a bit more of a close-up. I use the spoon to pop it into the jars. Look, you could put it in a piping bag, but I just think that's a bit messy and it will just get stuck. So just pop it into here. These were my tester ones that I did at the start. These are going to be for my daughters. And when I actually do these for customers, each individual one, which I think I'll show it later on, I can't remember, but I think I do, they're all on a scale. So I pop the jar on the scale, I tear it out, and then I just fill it up. And I know that these ones fill up to be 50 grams in total, which is exactly, I think, a perfect amount. So my jars are quite a bit bigger. Alright, so my testers are all done, and now I'll just show you what it looks like. They look really beautiful. Honestly, just the consistency of it feels just gorgeous, and I have actually tried them. So yeah, so I'll show you here, and you can see it kind of looks a bit granulated, and it will settle in the jar a little bit. So give it a day or so, just so it can settle in the jar. a little bit. But you can see here, as I said before, that I'd show you this bit. So I've got my scale here all organized, and this is sanitized as well. So then all I'm doing is popping the jar on. I tear it out, mix all my mixture up. So this is my second mixture that I'm doing here now. And literally then I'm just going to kind of like pour it in and push it off with the spoon. And then that way I'll know that it is 50 grams or more. Some of them may be a little bit over, but they definitely will not be under. I always make sure that there's the right amount. And then I also will show you how I put my labels on. All my labels I design on Canva. So I actually do have the paid version of Canva, but you can use the non-paid one. It just means that there's some things that you might not be able to do. You know, you can't use every picture or something, but I don't use their pictures anyway. I use all of my own imagery from Canva, so I don't use any photos they supply or anything. Everything is solely my work on it. So if you're going to use solely your own work, you probably don't need it, but I do like some of the paid fonts, so that's why I use Canva. And so what I actually do is design it on Canva, and then in conjunction with my Cricut machine, then I print them all out, and then they just get printed on your typical, your laser jet. And all of my sticker paper that I use is actually matte printable vinyl. So I don't like the sticker paper, because then your customers can't get it off if they want to reuse the jar as just like a little trinket jar or something like that. So that's why I do it this way. But hopefully I've given you some idea, and please feel free to use my recipes. I really don't mind at all. I'm not precious, and I'm doing this to try and help people make their own products. It's really hard when you really want to make it and you just can't, because you just can't figure out a recipe. So hopefully my recipe will actually help you start off some lip scrubs. But like I said, I am using a bit more expensive materials. If you don't want to use cocoa butter and shea butter, then all you can do is literally just replace that with a liquid oil. If you don't have jojoba oil, because I know that's expensive, you can also use olive oil. Don't use coconut oil, because coconut oil can be really drying. So I really wouldn't advise that, to be honest. You could use sweet almond oil. You could also use apricot kernel oil. You could also use avocado oil. There's quite a few you can use. And from your local shopping centre, you can get avocado oil or a few different oils. So if you don't want to order it online. Alright everyone, so we're back doing the last thing now. So as you can see, they're all done, and look how beautiful they look with just that small amount of mica. So like I said, you don't need a lot of mica at all. And if you don't want to add colour, you don't have to. You could leave them plain. But generally my customers, if it's lavender, they want to see it looking purple, or if it's watermelon, they want to see it looking like a watermelon, blueberry blue and so on. So that's why I do actually add the colours into mine. So all I'm going to do is literally pop them on the sheet here. So I've cleaned up all the sugar, because this does make a mess with the sugar. And then I'm just using a cloth to wipe the edges. My cloth has been sprayed with the rubbing alcohol or isopropyl, which is its real name. And the same as the lids have been totally sanitized again as well. As I said earlier, absolutely everything is sanitized. And then I'm just going to be popping it on the top. Then I'll pop on the lids, and then I will get going on the next bit, which will be the vinyl. And then I'll actually show you the finished product, and I'll show you me popping on the vinyl at the end so that you can see the labeling process as well. right, so all the lids are on and we're on to the lucky last little bit. So you can see here is my label. So I have the name of it, of course, the details of where it's manufactured, my business, my company name, and then of course at the end the directions on how to use it. Under the bottom, the circle bit under the bottom, I will actually have the ingredients on that. So I'll put an extra one. Sorry, the first label is a bit wonky. Obviously, I'm sort of holding this and trying to show you. So I did have to take that off later and refix that back up. But after that, they do get quite straight. And you know, that doesn't matter. I mean, you know, if you make a little bit of a mistake, just take it off and start again. And like I said, I actually do use vinyl, and vinyl is much easier to get off doing this. So I really do suggest buying vinyl. I buy mine from a company called Rainbow in Australia. It's called Rainbow Vinyl, and I think it's about $1.40 to $1.70 a sheet. So you try and get obviously as many labels as you can on the sheet. And for this one, I can get 7 labels on one sheet. So yeah, so that's really good. And like I said, I do use the Cricut. So to give you an example, these labels, I'll say in inch because the Cricut does it in inch. It's 7 inches wide, and it's 0.8 of an inch in height for these particular jars. And like I said, they do have 50 grams of product inside them. So I think maybe they're called like a 70-gram jar, but it does only fit 50 to 60 grams of a product inside. But of course, each material would weigh differently. So if I do something with sugar, it will weigh much heavier than a liquid because obviously the sugar is heavier in the jar. So I'll go through all of them here and just show you how I'm actually going to be wrapping them, and hopefully this helps you understand it as well. You don't have to wrap them all the way around. You could just put like a little label on the front, but I really do like the look of all of mine being wrapped all around, and I think it is a much more professional look, to be honest. I have thought about putting a circle label on the top of the jars as well, and I did do that with 1 or 2, but I really just thought it made it look a little bit cheap. So I don't think I will ever put anything on the top. I mean, I shouldn't say never, should I? Because I might, but at the moment I don't think so. I just think it looks really clean and neat the way it is, and although it looks like my sticker's white, it's not. It has a very, very pale, like a pinky grey design under it, and that design is a design that is on every one of my products, and it is my own design because it's actually a picture of a soap I did, and then I have altered it in a graphic in Photoshop. So yeah, so you can see anyway how lovely they look. And of course it does say lip scrub on it. You do need to say what it is, even though you think it's really easy for people to tell. Sometimes they do not know what it is. So yeah, and of course all the products are natural, so if somebody ate it, I wouldn't advise eating it all. I mean, you're meant to just put it on your lips, but somebody decided to eat it or a child got into it, would not be the end of the world. They, you know, nothing would happen because like I said, it is natural and everything is a food grade and edible. But yeah, I think they look absolutely beautiful. So I hope you have loved the video, and I hope that I've helped you. So I will see you next time. Thanks for listening, everyone.